What is going on, everyone? You are all very welcome to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, presented by Print My Pint. For your Christmas party or festive shindig, make sure you check them out on printmypint.ie. It is Monday after week 13 of the NFL, and we have lots to get through, lots to break down. We are on the home stretch of the season. Things are starting to get real. All the wins count. Every win counts now at this stage, getting down to the playoffs. Jimmy English, Connor Tate, and Stephen Kearns back to break down the top stories from the most recent weekend of NFL action. Lads, how are we all doing? Are we keeping well?
All good out here, Jimmy. I just remember the kind of week 7, week 8 lull that we had, and I was like, the NFL is starting to get boring. I take back what I said. The NFL is just the most incredible product, and week 13 can attest to that. We have a lot to talk about.
It is not boring anymore, Twist.
No, but, hey, Pittsburgh fans, at least there's another 50 games for Penguins to play that we might have some hope for, because the Steelers are cooked.
Steelers are at rock bottom, that is for sure, and we're going to talk about that, as well as Connor's Vikings being in a similar situation, and also, of course, our own Charlie Smyth having his NFL regular season debut yesterday against the Miami Dolphins for the New Orleans Saints, and absolutely smashing it out of the park. We are going to talk about that in depth later on in the podcast, but first, it's kind of hard to believe that last Thursday we had a triple header of games at Thanksgiving. It seems like so long ago now that because the weekend of NFL action was so mental. We also had the first ever Black Friday international broadcast on Prime. That was pretty cool to see that broadcast around the world. Connor, let's get into, I suppose, some of the big things, the main talking points from Thanksgiving. Obviously, we had the Packers Lions, we had the Cowboys Chiefs, and we had the Ravens versus the Bengals. Each game here kind of had some sort of bearing on each of those teams' playoff potential. Going first to the NFC North clash, a massive NFC North clash, probably the biggest game of that slate, really, on the Thursday was the Packers beating the Lions. A big win for Green Bay, keeping a pace with the Bears in the NFC North. And I suppose after taking some heat, Jordan Love there kind of bounced back, beating the foe and kind of keeping Green Bay in the conversation, at least for now.
Yeah, well, the great thing about Thanksgiving, and whether you're thankful or not, or whether you celebrate it or not, for international fans, there's football at a normal hour on a Thursday, and that's amazing, right? And even if it is the Lions that have been, it is a big bonus, and even if it's Detroit who have been perennially terrible, right? You still sit down at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, whatever, and you're like, okay, football's on, it's great, we'll watch it. Turns out Detroit are really good again. And this game between the Packers and Green Bay was huge, and it's huge playoff implications. Like, the Detroit Lions are not in the playoff picture right now. Yet they're a very good team with an excellent record. So they're in the hunt, but they're not actually in the playoffs if it would start today. So it was a huge game, and I think Green Bay have just managed to slug out these games where they haven't looked epic or gaudy, but they're just good. And the roster is really, really good. I think Green Bay could make a deep run, but the first thing Green Bay have to do is topple Chicago, because Chicago went and won the next day and are currently at the top of not just the NFC North, but the entire NFC. So they got to surpass Chicago, get that 1 seed, and then I think they can make a deep run in the playoffs.
Twist, you're high on the Packers early on in the season. It seems like that faith has picked off because Jordan Love, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, and the multiple talented players they have there. They were knocked down a little bit with the loss of their talented tight end, but they have kind of bounced back, and they were in spitting distance now of the Bears in the NFC and getting hot at just the right time, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, of a good authority, Jordan Love listens to the podcast. I told him I didn't want to have to badmouth him again on this week's podcast. So he went in on Thanksgiving, he dropped 4 touchdowns. It was only a couple of weeks ago we were saying, who were the Green Bay's wide receivers once their tight end went down? We're the room of who's.
Yeah.
I think they took that to heart and they went out and put on a show against, they're one of their top competitors in the North. Green Bay is currently 6th seed if the playoffs started today. So they are getting hot at the right time. As Connor pointed out, they do have to beat the resurgent red hot Chicago Bears, who are now currently sitting on top of the NFC. So it'll be interesting to see when, the stereotypical Bears Packers head to head goes ahead once again before the season ends. If they can topple them, there's nothing stopping Green Bay fulfilling my prediction of going to and winning the Super Bowl, because they seem to be getting hot at the right time. It's this time of year where you want your team to get hot.
And just a little nugget to add on that, a scheduling nugget. The NFC North finishes this season in Week 18. It's Lions, Bears, and Packers at Minnesota. So
Did we know players sat Week 17?
no, but it should be, with the way it's going at the moment, fairly safe to assume it's going to be a Green Bay win in Week 18, wherever they are in the table. And there's only a half game between Green Bay and Chicago, yet it's the 1 seed and 6 seed. It's so close in the NFC.
Yeah.
God, I love football.
Well, we always say that the AFC North is like the toughest division of football. Not this year. That's been absolutely taken by the NFC North this year. Like, it's the type of football that I would crave seeing every Sunday from the Steelers, Bengals, Browns, and Ravens. Now it's been replaced by the Bears, the Vikings, the Packers.
Like, if anyone had said to you at the start of the season that the Bears would be the number one team in the NFC and like potentially the number one, like top of their conference, I mean, you would have thought they were joking with you. But Caleb Williams, and similarly to Green Bay, Caleb Williams and the Bears, they're getting hot at the right time. Ben Johnson is doing a fantastic job there. He's really brought Caleb Williams on even doing the shirtless dance afterwards. His high school celebration, I thought that was pretty cool. So look, he clearly has a locker room there, and I think I was reading about the Bears there earlier. Like, they have nothing to lose at this stage. Like, nobody believes in them. They're playing loose. They're playing free. You can see it. Caleb Williams is confident. He's
playing with a chip on their shoulder.
Playing with a chip on their shoulder.
Go back to our Week 2 review of the NFL, and the Bears are sitting 0-2, and they lost. They gave up 52 points to Detroit off the loss to Minnesota in Week 1. Remember that, right? The Bears were nowhere. They were absolutely nowhere. They were going to be bottom of the NFC North again, 4 or 5 wins, and now since then they've only lost one game, and they're top of the NFC. It's phenomenal. Ben Johnson, great job.
Feels like a lifetime ago.
Yep.
We'll jump into that Black Friday game in a minute. Obviously, Cowboys and Chiefs have playoff implications as well. The Chiefs are now 6-6, and this loss kind of pushed them a little bit further from the playoffs. Myself and Connor were talking before we hit the record button. Chiefs basically need to win out now and go on 11-6 if they want to have any chance of making the playoffs. They've made the playoffs the past 10 consecutive seasons. This will be the first time in the history of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes that they don't make the playoffs. And like, it's not going to be an easy path, because next week they have the Texans, who are again, like, it's November or December football, right? Teams are getting hot at the right time. Teams are getting their starting quarterbacks back. Speaking of starting quarterbacks who came back to save team season, Joe Cool, ice in his veins, came out. He got his turf toe fixed just in time. He came back and absolutely battered the Ravens on the late game in the final game of the Thanksgiving Thursday slate. And like, the Ravens in that game, Connor, they had, I think, 5 or 6. I watched the highlights back there earlier on just to refresh my memory. 5 turnovers in total, including 3 in the first half, 3 interceptions or / fumbles from Lamar Jackson. So not doing themselves any favors in the NFC North. And like, the NFC North, I say the AFC North. And at this stage now, it's completely up for grabs. I mean, it could be anyone bar the Browns, really, who take the AFC North at this stage.
Same as that Chicago Week 2 moment. Joe Burrow went down in Week 2, and the Bengals were 2-0. And I said if Flacco, or wasn't Flacco at the time, who it was Browning, whichever quarterback came in for Cincinnati, if he could just win 3 games in that stretch, that 3-month stretch where Joe Burrow wasn't available, and Cincinnati had about 5 or 6 wins come Thanksgiving, they were going to be in with a shot, because their schedule is certainly doable. It turns out Cincinnati won 1 game in that stretch. But because of how dire the AFC North has been, they are arguably the favorite on paper to go and win the AFC North with the way it is at the moment. They're a game and a half back on Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who will play each other twice and may well take a game off each other. It's like, they dismantled Baltimore. You're not telling me Baltimore makes that many mistakes if they're facing Jake Browning or Joe Flacco on the other side. No, the pressure of having to face Joe Burrow, he's going to put up 30-something points. That leads to errors and mistakes, and that's exactly what happened. And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that Cincinnati are the favorite to take the AFC North.
No, Cincy is fast approaching the Steelers and the Ravens in the North. Like, I don't know what happened when Joe Burrow came back, but Burrow came back and the terrible, god awful, abysmal Cincinnati defense became the 85 Bears.
He's
Yeah.
a talisman, like it just goes to show you how important he is to that organization. Like he
It's an
is,
aura. It's a belief that,
yeah.
okay, this guy is gonna do his part, so we'll do our part. Like, what's the point if you're the Minnesota Viking? I'm using this as an example, but what's the point in playing good? They did actually on Sunday, but what's the point? Because the offense is going to do nothing. Whereas Joe Burrow's back in now, they're going to we ball. Damn, we'll win the game. We might win the division. Let's play.
Yeah, but like, what's their excuse for the past year where they played terrible as well? Just something happened when he came back, and then like Burrow himself, like he had no time off. He just rocked out like vintage Marino or vintage Brady for the younger generation. Like just went out there and dismantled the Ravens. Ravens fans were watching Family Guy in the stands. They were drunk. They didn't care. They were booing. They were leaving. They lost. Lamar Jackson became like almost Jamarcus Russell-esque in his like abysmal performance.
Yeah.
against
He
that.
really was. He really wasn't right. Like he really wasn't right. And like they had the lead in the AFC North for 1 week, and now they've lost it again. So it's crazy how close that division
But
is.
I will say I don't want to skip over it too quickly, but I have to. I hate doing it, but I have to give the Cowboys their flowers. They beat both the Eagles and the Chiefs back to back, the two Super Bowl like teams for the previous years. And I think my prediction of the Chiefs not making the playoffs is still hanging in there when you look at their schedule. Texans, Chargers, Chiefs, Titans, Broncos, and Raiders. 2 of those should be easy wins. The rest, not guaranteed. So I think my prediction that the Chiefs ain't making the championship or probably not making the playoffs at all is still there. And I hate the fact that I had to congratulate the Cowboys.
But like, yeah, you have to hand it to Dak Prescott. I mean, he another example of a quarterback who's had up and down all season. Played he's mercurial. He either plays really really well or really really poorly. And it's actually funny because we've discussed it before on this podcast, the issue of the sun coming in and the lack of curtains during during games in Jerry World. And I can't remember if it was George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb or possibly both of them missed catches, wide open catches in that game between the Cowboys and the Chiefs because they couldn't see the ball.
The Cowboys get slated in that 3:25 America's Game of the Week more than any other team in the NFL. And that's the exact time when the sun just starts coming in, especially October, November, December.
Because Jerry refused to have an east to west orientation instead of a north to south, which would avoid that issue.
It's the same for both teams, but it's bizarre. Like, it is just bizarre, and it costs them some big plays. But what I will say is that that's the type of game that Kansas City normally wins. That close game, big prime time, all the lights on. Doesn't matter where the sun is in the sky, Kansas City normally comes out the victor in those type of games, right? But they aren't this year, and I'm still not prepared to write them off. But I will say this: if they don't beat Houston this week, I think that's it. If they can get over Houston, I think they have the hoodoo over the Chargers to take the Chargers down when it matters. I think they'll get the easy wins over Tennessee and the Raiders, and I think they'll do the Broncos when it really matters to get into the playoffs. But if they don't get over Houston, and Houston have 4 consecutive wins now in a row, they're flying. I think that is curtains for Kansas City.
I just made that joke. Don't copy my joke. Speaking of Super Bowl champions who got smacked in the mouth last week, Black Friday football live on Amazon Prime, pretty special that the NFL is recognizing the demand for those type of games. Again, Connor, another early-ish game, 8 o'clock here in Ireland, which is perfect for primetime viewing. And the Bears are just getting better and better week on week. Caleb Williams he's becoming the player everyone thought he could be when he came into the league, and he has what he needs now. He has proper investment from his coach. He has skilled players. He has an O-line that's protecting him. He's time to go through his progressions and throw the ball. The Eagles are in trouble. They have absolutely no offensive identity whatsoever. I mean, I don't know how many easy throws that Jalen Hurts missed there on Friday. I mean, the Bears absolutely came into Lincoln Financial Field and steamrolled the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
I mean, again, could have been a preview of the NFC divisional round. Like what did both teams have to do now to secure to take the next step and actually get to the playoffs.
Philly needs to make sure they win the NFC East, because 5 days and a few hours before they were up 21-0 on the Cowboys, and they're one game away from wrapping it up. Within the space of 4 or 5 days, they've lost 2 straight. The Cowboys have won 2 straight. Suddenly, there's a game and a half between them. Like it's very conceivable that they don't win the NFC East. That's a real possibility, and that the Cowboys go all the way. So they need to make sure they don't throw that up and throw away their home field advantage for however long it may be through the wild card, through the divisional. Chicago needs to take care of their divisional opponents. They have a huge one coming up this weekend against Green Bay. And I do believe that Chicago at home is a much better force than Chicago on the road in the playoffs. There's some serious home field advantage there at Soldier Field. So they need to try and get that 1 seed, man, because they're in place. And if they can get that 1 seed and they're 2 home games away from a Super Bowl, they've got the head coach and the quarterback playing as he is at the moment to go all the way. So that has to be their objective, to try and hold on to that 1 seed if they can. Otherwise, I can see them making the playoffs but not going all the way.
And twist, conversely, then for Philadelphia, the Eagles need to figure out their offensive issues and figure them out quick, because if we thought there was booze in Acrisure Stadium for the Steelers yesterday, it was twice as bad in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia fans are not known for their patience or goodwill. And so they somewhat sorted it out in the second half. They had some nice touchdown scores, and they kind of made it a bit of a closer game. But then obviously that fumble on the tush push attempt by Jalen Hurts that was recovered by the Bears, and then that was it. So right now it's offensive issues primarily that are causing trouble in Philadelphia.
But look at the Eagles last year. Their offense was run first. You got Saquon Barkley back there, run first. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to do much after that. AJ Brown just get open out occasionally when, Barkley has got that play action running. Tush push is effective. A year removed from that offense that brought them to the Super Bowl and to win it, you now have teams who are game planning for the tush push. And Chicago figured out a way to beat it on Sunday. They held Barkley to 56 yards, and yet AJ Brown went off for 132 and 2 touchdowns. That's nothing when your defense can't stop the Bears from from having not one, but 2 rushers go over 120 yards each in your own stadium. Of course, the Eagles fans are going to boo the team to death at halftime. Never mind by the end of the game. The Bears went there.
They were leaving by the end of the game. They were streaming out, trying to get back into the city.
But that's
from
what's
Broad
more
Street.
concerning. That's what's more concerning, that the defensive showing. Right, because it's always talking about the offensive woes in Philadelphia. AJ Brown isn't getting the ball, or they didn't run so well, or a couple of key turnovers. Jalen Hurts, this, that, the other. The defense is always rock solid in Philadelphia. Like, it's the defense that tees off, and when a defense tees off, it makes it very easy for the offense to rack up 25, 30, 35 points. When the defense is giving up, however, 200 and something yards and 200-yard rushers, that makes it very difficult, because as an offense, you're chasing the game, and it's a whole different ball game when you're chasing the game as opposed to when you're up, because your defense is great. It's a knock-on effect. So if the defense doesn't get its act together, by product of that, the offense won't get its act together. So the defense has got to tighten it up.
Yeah. Like, that defense gave up 255 yards in total, and the 2 runners had 5.9 and 6.9 yards per carry each, and a touchdown each. I don't care what AJ Brown does. I don't care how many touchdowns he catches. I don't care what open he is. If you can grind the clock out, get that much yardages, get that many yards per carry, it's a guaranteed first down every second down at that point.
You don't even need third down.
Third down doesn't exist. The Bears didn't. I don't know how many third downs they have. I didn't look into it. But when you're going first down, 6.9 yards, who cares about third down? That side of your playbook stays closed for most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane how much they had. The Bears had 17 third downs, and they were 10 out of 17. So they couldn't even stop them on third down. They stopped them 7 times in third down.
That's not a winning formula.
No, that Eagles defense is abysmal.
Allowing those many third downs to be converted.
No, you can't win a game like that. And fans right to leave. But at the same time, if your fan base abandons you that quickly, that home field advantage quickly turns into nothing.
Yeah.
So, as Connor said, they
fans
need to win.
Speaking of power swings, then obviously the Bears winning over the Eagles, and then the Panthers beating the Rams on Sunday. That was crazy. That game, back and forth, a really, really back and forth affair there in Carolina. The Panthers ultimately coming out on top, the victors. The power dynamic has shifted in the NFC now. The Bears are the number 1 seed for now. Matt Stafford, to a certain extent, can be blamed. He had an up and down day. He had 2 interceptions, 1 return for a pick 6, Connor. 2 crucial turnovers that affected the flow of the game. But you have to hand it to the Panthers as well for putting it up to the then NFC leaders. I mean, Bryce Young, I think, had a fantastic game. I watched the highlights back earlier. Speaking of, he's another quarterback who goes, come on, leaps and bounds this year and is finally trending upwards on an upward trajectory. He was calm and poised in the pocket. He went through his progressions perfectly. You could see it all the time in the world to throw the ball, which I think is what he needs as a passer. And then the game-defining score to Tatora McMillan, whose name I just butchered. I apologize if he is listening. That he had a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter. A really, really entertaining, fantastic game for the neutrals to watch.
All I needed to see from that Bryce Young performance was the final third down he converted, the 3rd and 5. Just ice in his veins, poised. And it was only that wide open and that easy because he threw it on time, on rhythm. Right? And that's what elite quarterbacks do in the NFL. He didn't have the choppy feet at quarterback. He was decisive. He got to the top of his drop. He made a decision. He put it on time. The guy caught it. The game's over. That's what you're looking for your quarterback in the NFL at the highest level. What I'll say about the Rams is that Matt Stafford was due a shaky game. Where the numbers were just so gaudy that at some point it was going to come to an end, and it came pretty abruptly. And of course, with the pick 6 too to add on top of it. But don't forget, this Carolina secondary gave Brock Purdy fits on Monday night a few days ago. It's just the offense couldn't get it going to take down San Francisco, but the offense got it going today. And Carolina are the best looking team in the NFC South. Like, there's a good chance Carolina win the NFC South.
People are sleeping on the Panthers twist. I mean, okay, the Rams. It's not the Rams. They weren't awful. They still play well. Devontae Adams had 2 touchdowns. He still leads the league in touchdown receptions, as far as I'm aware, with Jackson Smith and Jigba hot on his heels. But like it's like Connor said, the Panthers are sneakily good. They're pushing the Buccaneers in the NFC South now. Whether or not they sneak into the playoffs, it's still up for question.
I think they will. They're sneaking up beyond the Buccaneers. I think they do have a chance to overtake the Buccaneers because the Baker effect will eventually wear off. Like, he wins games. He's tough. He pulls out of the bag. That type of play can only last so long. Bryce Young looked poised. He looked professional. He looked good in the pocket. As Connor says, he pulled off that perfect 3rd down to basically seal the game. It's taken this long for him to get where he is, and I think that's just his personal development. So, when we look back at a few podcasts from last year, the year before, we were slating Bryce Young. He's a bust. He's a bust. He's a bust. This is a good sign for Panthers fans. He is out there. He's playing good. He's actually looking like a decent quarterback. He may finally fulfill that first round draft capital that they spent on him. And of course, the Bears are still benefiting from the Bryce Young situation because he made sure that they got the number 1 seed after that. Stafford, as Connor said, shaky game is bound to happen. Fans, don't worry, the ceiling isn't falling.
I don't think it'll affect his MVP candidacy anyway. I mean,
no, but
first time he's running interceptions in 10 weeks.
Every team is going to have a stumble or a trip. You kind of want it to happen in a regular season game and not in the playoffs.
Yep.
But an interesting fact is Matt Stafford's pick 6. He's now has 30 pick 6s in his career. The only player who has more in NFL history is Brett Favre, who has 32. So not a record you want to take off Favre. So hopefully Matt Stafford doesn't see any more pick 6s for the rest of the season, or else he's going to be the holder of the most pick 6s in NFL history.
We also had a power shift, Connor, in the AFC South with the Texans beating the Colts and with the Jaguars running riot all over the Titans. The Jaguars moved to first place in the AFC South. And if I'm a Colts fan and I see Jonathan Taylor continually bottled up and held to under 100 yards rushing in the past 3 games, and then Daniel Jones, the offense relies on Daniel Jones. Okay, he had some nice passes, he connected well, especially with Alec Pierce for those 2 touchdown catches, I believe, or at least 1 touchdown catch. But the Colts with Daniel Jones just leading the offense and being the sole offensive, having to rely on Daniel Jones. They're not really going to threaten anyone. They're not going to do a lot. We saw that stingy Colts defense. Sorry, the stingy Texans defense really, really limited them. The Texans are now on a 4-game winning streak, as you alluded to earlier. It's it's possibly one of the most interesting divisions in the NFL right now, as well as the NFC North is the AFC South.
In the space of 3 weeks, the Colts went from winning the international game in Berlin and moving to 8-2 and way clear of everyone else to suddenly behind the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC South with the Texans a half game back on them and their quarterback has a broken leg. That's the Indianapolis Colts span of 3 weeks. Daniel Jones is not moving good on that leg. Sure, he can play through it, but you're not going to be able to move good, and you're certainly not going to make a run into the playoffs with the way he's moving. And there's no other option there in Indianapolis at the moment. So it's been a catastrophic fall from grace for Indy. And the other two teams in the division are taking advantage of the opportunity. They are right there.
And Sauce Gardner as well suffered an injury yesterday as well to his, possibly his.
It was his knee. He came out and said his calf now.
Calf. So like another key piece there. The Colts are kind of struggling at the wrong time twist. They need to get Jonathan Taylor moving again. I mean, the Jaguars are good, but the Jaguars can always tumble. It seems like the Colts now they're being pushed a little bit. I mean, they're struggling when they come up against good teams, which they didn't really face early in the season, but now they're facing better teams and they're being challenged.
Yeah, I mean, like Indiana Jones is looking like young Indiana Jones. The really bad knockoff TV series of Indiana Jones. I will say we're high in like Daniel Jones because he had a good offensive line. Jonathan Taylor took most of the pressure off him, gave him all the time in the world he needed in the pocket. He's not mobile in the pocket anymore, so he has to make quick decisions. He's never been good at quick decisions. Look at him back in New York. But on the flip side, if you look at him in New York, he had a superstar running back, Saquon Barkley, but he didn't have the offensive line. And see what happened to him. He did crumble quite a bit. Now we're seeing he's got a good offensive line, but teams are bottling up that running back. So Daniel Jones, injury or otherwise, he is starting to show the signs of Daniel Jones of old.
Yeah, you make that offense one-dimensional, the Colts are going to have problems.
So Colts fans, I would be worried. Like the AFC South and the NFC South are probably the two most interesting divisions in the league at the moment because it's literally 3 teams and either one of them could take it. Like, it's just one to watch. So, yeah, Colts fans, the sky is crumbling. It's not quite falling, but it's starting to crumble. You know, you can't really put Anthony Richardson in there and hope he's going to do anything. But the other thing he's going to do is
he could do anything. The man's wild.
The other thing I'll add to this is that this weekend it is Colts, Jaguars, and historically the Colts never win in Jacksonville. They just don't win there, even in the years.
So many crucial divisional games on this weekend. It's mental.
Yeah, it is, and even no matter how bad Jacksonville is each year, this year they're good. But even in the seasons where they've been atrocious, they always beat Indianapolis down in Jacksonville. So the Colts really need to get over that one this week.
Yeah,
the sky might not be falling quite yet in Indianapolis, but it's certainly falling in chunks.
The dome is cracking.
Falling in chunks in Pittsburgh. Steelers are in a very, very bad place. Twist. They officially, I think, hit rock bottom yesterday with that loss against the Colts. Barely scratched 100 yards throughout the entire game. Sorry, against the Bills and Josh Allen. 7 first downs in 3 quarters, 90 yards. Aaron Rodgers at one point, he was sitting on the bench with it looked like his soul had left his body with his bloody nose, and you can just kind of tell that he's just done after that performance. And I think, as you said earlier, the Steelers are cooked, especially when you allow 249 yards rushing on the ground, the most in that stadium's history. That is rock bottom, right?
Yep, defense is designed to stop the run. Defense can't stop the run. If Cook hadn't have fumbled, it would have been a blowout. It would have been 26-0. If he had because he fumbled so close in their own half, that gave us a chance to score. Without that, we were doing nothing. Rodgers should not have played. Just period. No. 3 fractures in his wrist, limited his ability to hand off to one side of the field. Like when you take away one side of the field for him to hand off for your running back, he becomes super one-dimensional on your run plays. You know, he's tried to blame the wide receivers. I'm like, it doesn't matter who you blame. Like, the team was awful. The defense,
the organization as a whole right now is stinking to high heaven. And I was talking to Connor before we hit the record button. It is too late in the season that making any sort of coaching or coordinator changes is not going to do anything at this stage.
No, we've done it with Matt Canada. We've done it with Randy Fincher. Get rid of them. We haven't had a good offensive coordinator since Bruce Arians. We've had Randy Fincher, Matt Canada, and now Arthur Smith. Get rid of them. Gone. Goodbye.
And I think at the same time, Terrell Austin.
Gone. Get out. He does nothing. He can't do nothing. A high school football coach will put a better defense in the field at that point.
But the funny thing is, Arthur Smith's only a year older than Aaron Rodgers, right? Isn't that crazy? We have your it must be such a strange power dynamic in that building where your quarterback is a future Hall of Famer, 3-time league MVP, and you have
the coordinator can't call an offense. Let me finish my rant.
Sorry.
When they play Renegade in Heinz, it's Heinz, I don't care. When they play Renegade in the stadium and the fans boo,
the
Steelers are done. When you can hear Fire Tomlin chants coming through the TV, the team is done. It's gone. Steelers were finished. Switch over to the Penguins. Worst option, switch over to the Pirates. This team ain't going nowhere. Aaron Rodgers should not have been signed. We should have went for a different veteran quarterback, or we should have just rode Mason Rudolph and then until he burnt out and give it to Will Howard, give him a chance, because this team is cooked. The Ravens are, back on top again. The Bengals are fast approaching. As Connor said, they're favourites to win. I absolutely agree with him. Bengals are going to come in and sweep the title away from the Ravens and the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns win out and the Steelers end up behind the Browns were that bad. Anyway, rant over.
Connor, can it get any worse for the Steelers at this stage? Sure. I say rock bottom, but it could actually not quite be rock bottom. And two twists point about hearing the boos and the Fire Tomlin chants. I was fortunate enough to be able to watch the broadcast on the local Pittsburgh CBS channel, which was a refreshing change from the absolute drivel you'd hear on Sky Sports. That in itself was the only kind of positive I took away from that game, is that I didn't have to listen to the analysis on Sky Sports. But Connor, things are dire in Pittsburgh right now.
They're top of the AFC North, aren't they?
For now.
So it can get a lot worse, right? They might still scrape their way to a divisional win. Here's a thought. Give Aaron Rodgers the keys. No offensive coordinator. Let Aaron Rodgers call all the plays. Let him go out there and be everything. We've seen moments in games where quarterbacks, the headset cuts out and they lead an entire drive for a touchdown, and they can see the game from a different perspective and this, that, and the other. It's not working at the moment. You can't bring in a replacement. Give Aaron Rodgers the keys. See how it goes for a week. Literally. And if you don't want to make it public, if you want to throw in a scapegoat, right, just give him a helmet without the headset and let him call the plays. If you still want to put it there.
We've seen scenarios. I mean, it happened in Detroit where play calling duties have been taken off coordinators and given to head coaches.
Yeah.
It's a similar concept, right? Ben Roethlisberger did it years ago when who was our offensive coordinator? Todd Haley. He used to call his own plays in the huddle.
Quarterbacks do it all the time They do it all the time in 2-minute drill. There's not time for that communication. They've gone through their 2-minute drill, their hurry up offense. They give their hand signals. They give their one word plays, and they go out there and run the offense. And more often than not, teams that score in 2-minute drill, right? So go to it and give Aaron the keys and say, look, Aaron, this is it. This is the twilight of your career now. This is your moment. We're giving you the keys. Go bring us to a Super Bowl. Call the plays, man. Go out and play the whole game. No one's going to tell you what to do.
Nothing to lose at this stage.
There's nothing to lose because it hasn't looked very good for the last few weeks now. And the defense isn't even keeping Pittsburgh in games anymore. So I say, you know what? There is a solution here. Give Aaron the keys and see what happens. Give the MVP, the former 4-time MVP, future Hall of Famer, the opportunity to go out there and win each game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only option. You mentioned, the 2-minute drill. If Steelers fans go back and watch the highlights of Ben Roethlisberger, some of his best drives have been him in the 2-minute drill, where he just calls his own plays for the entire drill. And
And
that's
you know
where
what
I'll
happens? You get base defense in 2 minute drill. You don't get the exotic blitzes. You don't have times to substitute. It's high school football. It's four verts. It's quick outs. It's quick
yeah.
slants. It's simple stuff, and you
And with a
move the
good
ball.
quarterback, you can absolutely dominate.
Absolutely.
But like, look at it this way, right? We have the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Browns, and then finish the season with the Ravens. I don't think we can win any of those games currently.
No.
Maybe squeak by the Browns, but the way Sanders is playing, bar this week, like he has the talent and the ability to gash our absolutely aging, highest paid piece of crap defense. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers go and lose the last six. And that's
What
the
happens then?
end of the
What happens if what happens to Mike Tomlin?
I don't think the Rooney's are going to get rid of him. I think if anything, what will happen is if we lose the last six, Arthur Smith's
Because
gone.
it happened last year. It happened last year. We were playing really, really well, and then the wheels fell out
We
again.
didn't have a losing season. We haven't had a losing season in
The
21
standard
years.
is a standard, and the standard is
Yeah.
going 9-8.
But if we don't have a losing season, we don't make the playoffs again, fans are going to be annoyed, rightfully so. But I can foresee the Rooney's clearing house from below Tomlin, except for like Danny
Cannon.
Smith, special teams like champion. So much bubblegum. He's more bubblegum than man. But I think that will happen. If that happens, Mike Tomlin needs to be put on a plane and sent to Cancun for the however long it takes to interview these coordinators. Keep him the hell away from coordinator hiring because he picks them and they've all Randy Fitchner, Todd Haley, like Matt Canada, Arthur Smith, Terrell Austin. Like, we haven't had a good offensive coordinator since Bruce Arians or a good defensive coordinator since Dick LeBeau. The only good coordinator we've had who's stuck around is Danny Smith. And again, I think he's stuck in Pittsburgh because he's made more than chewing gum than anything else.
the strongest jawed man in America.
The team is cooked. Get rid of it. Fully rebuild. Tear it down.
Look, we could do a whole podcast on bitching about the Steelers.
But anyway, I'm going to keep talking too long.
We are going to move on to something positive in a few minutes' time and talk about the excellent debut of our own Charlie Smith. Connor, before we do that, I know the Steelers weren't the only team to absolutely bottom out yesterday. The Vikings didn't have such a good showing yesterday, getting shut out by the Seahawks. Like Sam Darnold didn't have a great team, but he still got victory over his former club. It was mostly the Seahawks defense who caused that. I wouldn't even call it an upset. The Seahawks were bound to win that game.
Yeah.
Max Brosner playing in the place of playing quarterback, 4 interceptions, including that absolutely egregious pick six where he was trying to, like, you can see what he was doing there. He was trying to avoid the sack, but in situations like that, you just take the sack, take the loss. I mean, tell me how you were feeling watching that game. Not happy.
Oh man, it saved me watching Pittsburgh, so that's the positive.
Look at you. Look at you. I had nightmares about that game.
It certainly wasn't much better. To put it into perspective, Minnesota hadn't been shut out in the past 18 years. This is bad, and I try and stay positive. I try and stay impartial as much as I can. And I also try and remain positive even when the whole world is slating the team or being negative. It's hard not to be anything but negative at the moment. Like, it's really, really bad. The defense must be fed up. Justin Jefferson is starting to get to the diva stage where he's sitting by himself on the bench. Justin Jefferson has been an unbelievable team player. He's never cussed anyone out in the media. He's always positive. He's always bigging up the quarterback. He's now sitting by himself on the bench. So you know it's getting bad. Max Brosmer was put into an impossible situation with half his team missing on the road in one of the most hostile environments against one of the best defenses in the NFL. And what we saw is what we should have expected to see. Like, the offense is broken at the moment. And that interception, like, for anyone who didn't watch the game, it's really bad. But Minnesota were 3-0 down with 3 minutes to go in the first half. The defense had kept them in it the whole game. And they get to 4th and 1. And the reason they didn't run the ball is because Kevin O'Connell does not like to run the ball in short yardage situations. He's a pass first coordinator, and that's okay to some extent. And the other reason was because they had something like 10 yards rushing up until that point. They couldn't run the ball. So they had to go and pass the ball, but he called a play fake where you're relying on the end to bite on the run because he's unblocked. And sure enough, he doesn't bite on the run because he knows they can't run. and the quarterback's not particularly athletic, so he can't get away from him. He's in the grasp. Max Brosmer, by the time he turned around from his play fake, was already in the grasp of the defender. The best outcome there was a 15-yard sack. But if you can just dirt it into the ground, at least the Seahawks are stuck on their 5-yard line with 3 minutes to go and not on the 20-yard line. So that's what he tried to do. He flicked his wrist and it all went to hell after that. They returned it 95 yards. You can't do that as a quarterback, but he was set up for failure yesterday. That's all I can say. He was thrown into it and he was set up for failure. So I feel really sorry for him. And the whole situation is a colossal disaster from the. It is from the front office.
I believe the scientific term is clusterfuck.
Yes, I was trying to put it nicely, but yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And it's like I don't know the direct. They invested $300 million in this team this year. They were all in on JJ McCarthy being the cheap but excellent quarterback on the rookie deal. It hasn't worked out. They're in cap hell. They're in quarterback hell. They're in a lot of trouble, and there's going to be a lot of firings at the end of the season. If it doesn't come earlier, it's going to come on Black Monday at the end of the season. And the Minnesota Vikings are not in a good place right now, and it's not fun to watch.
No, you went full Will Levis with that pick six. You never go full Will Levis.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. And I mean, he was put in a position to fail. I've seen all the jokes online. Justin Jefferson is 2 games away from going full AB. He's not that bad, but it's worrying when your star receiver is sitting on his own.
You can see it.
That means the locker room morale is rock bottom. That's a team that now feels like they're just going through the motions to get through the remainder of the season. And as a Viking fan, you don't want to see that. You want to see your team go out, try and win. But in fairness, at this point, what are you trying to win for? A worse draft position? You might as well go through the motions. Get something.
It's getting to the stage. And Minnesota are
tank for Arch Manning at this stage.
Tank for whoever, but it is getting to the stage where now it's not valuable to win games because you're only affecting your draft position and you're not going to make the playoffs anyway.
But the unusual position, we're tanking for the draft.
No, you can't say that, and nobody is because they're all playing for their jobs, right? They're all trying to put on good tape. But it's like the Vikings are always a competitive team. They never win the whole thing, but they're sniffing around the playoffs. Even when they don't make the playoffs, they're like a half game out or a game out. They're way out this year. This is the first time in a long time Minnesota has been nowhere in terms of being in the playoff picture around Thanksgiving. So this is a weird position. It's the first time for Coach O'Connell. It's uncharted territory for a lot of us, and it's not nice.
Character building. That's the way you look at it. Character
building.
Character building. That's one word to put it.
Yeah.
I will say, just to update, the Ravens are back on top of the AFC North. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. How would it make sense?
They're both tied at top. Who is the tiebreaker?
Right now we haven't played each other, so
it's divisional wins or something. Yeah.
I think it's point now. It's points at this point.
We have that to look forward to on Sunday. I'm sure it's going to be a delightful game to watch for Steelers fans and probably Ravens fans. It's going to be 2 terrible teams playing against each other. Let's finish on a positive note because our own Charlie Smyth from County Down had his debut yesterday for the New Orleans Saints, and he answered the call, booting a 56-yard field goal, which Connor, as you correctly pointed out, probably would have been good from 70 yards. He also had the perfectly executed onside kick that caught the Dolphins off guard. Now, look, I don't think it was touched by a Dolphins player. We watched that replay back. I suffered through the entire game purely to see Charlie come onto the field, which I regret doing now, and I could have tuned in for his field goal. But it was great to see him lining out, great to see him having success, and great to see the entire NFL. I mean, his story was beamed around the world. There was a piece on him this morning on NFL.com. He got plenty of plaudits from the 2 commentators during the broadcast as well. And it was great to see the support back home, Connor, as well. I suppose the news kind of we had an inkling when Groupie was cut that he might get an opportunity. They did bring in, they had some competition. They brought in Justin Tucker. They signed Cade York as well. And everyone's kind of saying, and even fans after the game were saying, where has this guy been the whole time? We could have had him kick it. The Saints might have been in with a chance to do something if they had Charlie in. I mean, to kick a 56-yarder in a pressure situation in your first regular season action, it really just was a superb showing from Charlie overall.
And I don't know what was going through his head throughout the game, but the way the game played out, the situation and the score, it looked like he was never going to get on, right? Because they
Yeah.
went for two when they got like you want to get your feet wet and you want to get an extra point, right, to kind of settle the nerves or whatever.
To
But the
break
way
yourself in instead of having to kick a 56-yard field goal.
But he went on, and the play clock was down, and like the rush on that, nobody probably saw
Yeah.
it in the time, but the rush was good. Like, I mean, he stroked it. Here's one thing: like Justin Tucker was the best for a long, long time at kicking field goals, and his mechanics were A1. But it always looked like he was putting some welly into it to get it there. And the first guy that I've seen now, and probably the best at the moment, is Brandon Aubrey. And like
Yes.
he clips it over, and it travels 70 yards. I see that in Charlie Smith. And I'm not just saying this for the Irish bias. His mechanics are just so clean. I mean, it's not hyperbole to say that that would have been good from 70. It hits so high up. It was so dead straight, and it hit so high up on the net to stop it going into the crowd.
But he
It
was
was
he was
brilliant.
celebrating before it even got there. He knew it was going through.
Because when you strike the ball in the sweet spot, you've nailed it. And
Perfectly.
then the
And like
onside kick. I
yeah.
mean,
the
come
onside kick
on, that was
was
just beautiful. That's the one that like okay, he made the field goal, great, but to come on and they all have creative ideas with the onside kick now. But this is the Gaelic in his blood, right? He knew how to put the ball like that. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant, man. It couldn't have gone better for Charlie Smith. They could
the
have
only
won the
thing
game.
missing was a win. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, and if they won the game, they're probably talking about he got a lot of plaudits, but they're probably talking about even more that his onside kick led them to win the game. So a little bit unlucky in that regard, but yeah, just I'm so happy for him, man. So happy for Charlie.
What I'm loving is seeing all the Saints fans discovering his 65-yarder in the crosswinds from practice.
Yeah.
The video that's going around.
The IPP.
Yeah, it's resurfaced again.
Yeah.
And it's
Where
every
he
time I see
curls it in.
anything where it curls like far right, and he kicked it perfectly into the wind. You're like, he shanked that wide, and the wind just carries it all the way back in dead center. And you're looking at it going, no NFL kicker would even think about using the wind in that way.
No.
I'm like, but the fans are like seeing this. It's surfacing on so many NFL pages, so many NFL meme pages going, where's this guy gone? So it's all positive news for Charlie. Like so many articles and all the various like news sites this morning over here, all about Charlie Smith. So he's getting all the laudits, all the plaudits, well deserved. Like the fact that he not only done the field goal, as Connor said, it looked automatic. Perfect. Like just there.
56 yards for your first ever NFL field goal, and then to drill it in epic fashion
in the rain.
Like,
yeah, just to like
he could not have had a better debut, really.
Just to hit it and make it look easy. Like that was one thing. But to go out and an onside kick, like an onside kick is not guaranteed anymore in the NFL.
No.
And to go out and do it so perfectly. Now, we'll question whether a Dolphins player touched it or not, but to do it so perfectly that you put that doubt in there, that it gets you gets your team the ball. Like, right now, the Saints must have been like, why didn't we start this guy like the start of the season?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell were we thinking?
Now what's going to happen is
works for him.
When a team faces the Saints and the Saints are lining up for an onside kick, it's going to be higher percentage because there's going to be more doubt in the opposition. They're going to be, this kid knows.
They're not going to know what's coming.
We have no idea what's coming here, but we just know he's gifted. We know he can pull anything out of the back.
The one knock that the special teams coordinator and Kellen Moore, head coach, had on Charlie Smith was his operation time and working with the snap hold kick, the whole process for special teams. There was no issues. The snap was perfect, the hold, but the pointer was perfect, the kick was perfect. I don't see why.
I don't see where that criticism comes from because he came out, as Connor said, for that field goal. The clock was 4 seconds. He had like by the time the formation set up for that ball to be snapped for him to like kick it and for the whole process.
And Charlie himself even said after the game that like he trusted the operation. He knew if the operation was smooth and he just did his job and hit the ball in the sweet spot, hit it dead center and stroked it over.
Yeah,
he had nothing to worry about.
Give a rookie 4 seconds, like a guy who's never played in the NFL, 4 seconds to kick a 56-yarder, like. I don't see the operation issue. Like
it's really good, but it could get better because by operation they're talking about the moment the ball is snapped, not prior to where the play clock is, but when the long snapper snaps the ball and then when he starts taking his steps forward and starts going into it.
There. Okay,
yeah. As a kicker, you need to slow. The less time the ball is on the ground and being held, the better because the less chance of it being blocked. And if he was a smidgen later, maybe the ball does get blocked. So there's always room for improvement as a kicker. I mean, you want that to be milliseconds. But if you arrive too early, you kick air, right? So that's why they have to work in it. And that'll come with time. But listen, he absolutely nailed it.
It'll be very interesting to see now what they do, because he'll automatically revert to the practice squad, or probably already has automatically reverted to the practice squad. Whether they keep elevate, there's only there's a limit on how many times they can elevate him before they sign him properly to the active roster and give him a proper contract. They do face they face the Panthers. Oh, sorry, I'm on week 15 here on my schedule. They face the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why that wasn't an addition. Like, they might want to take a closer look at him against the Buccaneers, but I think he's won the job in my eyes. And obviously, I'm biased. I'm a big fan of Charlie, but like, he didn't do anything.
If he doesn't start against the Buccaneers and they give it to Cade York, they're idiots.
They'll be war.
And never mind to be war. They're idiots, and someone will poach him from the practice squad, because once he reverts to practice squad, he's free game.
Yeah.
So they need to basically revert him back to, like, they need to put him back onto active squad for the Buccaneers, because I guarantee you there's a couple of teams looking and going now, let's see what the Saints do with this guy, because if they don't take him full term, we're just going to poach him.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity for New Orleans to try it out. I mean, they're not going anywhere this year in terms of playoff contention, so perfect opportunity to give them a chance.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing what happens with that next week. Speaking of week 14, coming quickly down the line, obviously Monday Night Football tonight, which we won't get into. The Patriots taking on the Giants. Some very, very interesting divisional rounds then, divisional games next week, which we'll just run through very quickly. Obviously, Ravens Steelers is huge for both teams there. Bills Bengals, that's very, very interesting. AFC South in particular, Jaguars Colts.
Yeah.
I mean, just Packers Bears in the NFC North. That is absolutely massive for both those teams there. Packers want to keep on winning and punch their ticket into the playoffs. Bears need to win out as well if they want to stay atop the NFC North.
As Connor mentioned earlier, Chiefs Texans is a huge.
Chiefs Texans is massive.
Football.
Yeah, and even Chargers Eagles is massive.
Yeah,
because the Eagles are stumbling bad, and Philip Rivers, that shows my age. Justin Herbert has the ability to go out and just drop bombs on people.
There's probably people listening to this podcast who haven't a clue who Philip Rivers is. Like, be a certain vintage to know who Philip Rivers is. My God,
Philip Rivers has
same draft class as Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger there, coincidentally, 2004.
My old brain. I'm still stuck in the 2004 draft class.
Lads, look, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We're almost at the hour mark, but we're down the stretch now. Every game counts, every snap counts. Teams are going to have to win out to get to the playoffs and keep in their positioning. Looking forward to getting back into it after week 14, not week 15 next week. Thank you everyone who listens and watches and subscribes and supports us. Thank you again to our sponsors, Print My Pint, for their continued support. Like I said earlier, if you are having a Christmas party or a festive celebration, make sure to check them out. Subscribe to us on all social medias. And lads, thank you very much for your time, and I will see you all very soon.